Man, we got Billboard Breakdown, Hot 100, February 3rd. Beautiful Things, Skin and Bones, and Sensational. I don't know any of these songs. Let's get it.
Hey there, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and we got a bit of a cool down week with a couple comebacks. Shame most of them are terrible, and this is Billboard
Mark,
Breakdown.
let's get it. Terrible. Alright. See where it's coming from.
The funny thing about January album releases is that if they are not met with immediate competition, they tend to stick around. It's not like there's anything else that's coming, so they tend to get a little bit more run without major disruption. And this looks to have been the case for American Dream by 21 Savage, which has more traction than I frankly expected even beyond the opportune timing, and that also translates to a bit of a delayed collapse on something of a breather week. And again, kind of hard for me to complain about that.
Guys, go follow him on Instagram. What the fuck are you doing if you're not following Spectrum Pulse on Instagram? What are you doing?
Returning number 1 from Jack Harlow, Lovin' On Me. I still don't like this song at all, but when you take the top spot on both the radio and streaming and you've got no songs slowing down, we're gonna need a bigger disruption to throw this off, and I just don't.
When's that next single coming?
Any of the Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj nonsense right now. Let's not even put Justin Timberlake in the conversation. And hell, it handled beat out Cruel Summer by
that Justin Timberlake song is actually so fire. I actually really like that song. I might add that to my playlist. I'm not even kidding. That song is actually fire. Can't lie, bro.
Dumped on streaming and the radio, and the only thing really sustaining it is momentum. Now, this might open up a door for Greedy by Tate McRae at number 3, given that it does have a little bit of traction with streaming and airplay, but it's got a ways to go to close that margin, and that takes us to a competitor
I got too much energy.
that, at least for me, really came out of left field. Lose Control by
lose
control. Streaming, and if radio can this is a contender, which again kind of caught me off guard, but
that's what I'm saying.
Stiff pop soul that reminds me.
Does anyone know this song? Anybody? Does anyone in the world? Has anyone in the USA actually listened to this song?
Too much have earned it by the weekend. It's got a track record of working with airplay. Hell, it overtook I Remember Everything by Zach Bryan.
Good, bro. Boring ass song, bro. Boring. No, I'm done with Zach Bryan. Kick Zach Bryan out of the Hot 100.
The momentum's kind of stalled out. And yet, it held over Yes and by Ariana Grande, falling off the number 1 down to number 6. Let's be clear, this was predictable. I called it last week. Despite radio onboarding this fast, it's not enough to compensate for streaming and sales falling back. I suspect it's going to jump up again at some point. It's going to be a question of when. Then we got 2 Doja Cat songs on opposite trajectories, one being Agora Hills at number 7, surging on the radio to really compensate for streaming lagging behind, and Paint the Town Red at number 8.
Good songs, both good songs. She thought she was Morgan Wallen with that double 10 and 9.
At number 9,
or fucking 6 and 7.
As streams were up, but radio was wavering. And
get Snooze out of here, boring ass song.
21 Savage at number 10, with the expected streaming drop off.
Just kidding, I don't know. That song's fine.
Radio that's nowhere close to filling in all those gaps. That naturally takes us to our losers and our dropouts, where in the latter group we actually did get a couple notable exits alongside the residual 21 Savage. Used to Be Young by Miley Cyrus, Great Gatsby by Rod Wave, and
I thought that song was like in the top 50
by Oliver Anthony.
What?
I'm still kind of stunned it lasted that long.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Goddamn conservatives, man.
The Trouble by Dan and Shay falling off rather sharply to 99. It's all 21 Savage in here. Let's start off with the Metro Boomin collabs. With Travis Scott, we have Nana at 30. With Lil Durk, we have Dangerous at 76. And with Young Thug, we got Pop Your Shit at 80. Outside of those, NHIE with Doja Cat at 52.
I gotta chill out.
55. Prove It with Summer Walker at 57. Should Have Wore a Bonnet with Brent Faiyaz at 63. Sneaky at 71. And Red Sky with Tommy Newport and Mickey Echo at 100. Now, where things get a little more interesting come in what's filling up the gaps. Not so much returns. There's only 3 that came back, and they were Worth It by Offset and Don Toliver at 95. When It Comes to You by Friday at 97. And I Don't Give a Fuck with T Grizzly, Mariah the Scientist, and Chris Brown at 98. Where it gets more wild comes in our gains, especially in our new arrivals from last week, where Made For Me by Money Long got shipped to radio and jumped up big to 44, alongside O2 299 by That Mexican OT.
I'm not complaining.
74. I'm not as thrilled by Cole by Dylan Gossett getting
Cole. That's just like a boring song name. Imagine your song name being Cole.
Okay week with Pretty Little Poison.
That is just sad.
Jumping up to 26, and Where the Wild Things Are by Luke Combs continuing a very steady run up to 31.
Isn't that an old song?
Unfortunately, the rest here is rather quite mixed. Never Lose Me by Flo Millie's up to 19, as streaming has really got behind it. Soak City Do It by 310 Baby has tangible radio traction at 61.
Radio?
And Act 2 Date at 8 by 4
It's gotta be like paid radio play.
Because his mild virality isn't going away yet.
You got that Kanye West cosign.
And that actually gives us with a very reasonable.
Where's Jay Christ? Where?
And unfortunately,
he dropped out, right? I'm pretty sure it did drop out. Whoa, Cheez-Its! What the fuck was that? What was that ad, bro? Cheez-Its, you gotta chill out with the ads, man.
Sensational by Chris Brown featuring Davido and Lil J.
What's with all the Chris Brown recently? Are we getting a Chris Brown comeback?
You know, I guess
it sound bad, honestly.
That Chris Brown would try to get to Afro beats to maintain relevance, and if he's gonna put on established acts like Davido or up-and-comers like Lil J, that's not good, right? Well, that's all balanced out by Chris Brown putting on an accent to try and fit in with this sound, and once again highlight the worst part of the song being him. And it's kind of a shame because the rest of this is okay. The fizzy Afrobeat.
I want to be Drake so bad, bro. Chill out, buddy. You will never be Drake. You will never be my glorious king.
Needs to be with that percussion, but there is a humid flow that at least Davido handles well. I'm not quite as fond as Lil J's voice. He just sounds a bit flimsy here, and the lyrics as a whole are pretty embarrassing, more horny than incredibly sensual. And while that is of course Chris Brown's forte, I'm not sure all of it is his fault this time. Discovering that Sean Kingston of all people has a writing credit on this makes a lot of sense.
Sean Kingston?
I don't know. Good groove.
The hell?
Hook is doing a lot of heavy lifting to make this passable. I can't go beyond that. Number 94, First Love by Oscar Ortiz and Edgardo Nunez.
Why name the song in English if you're just gonna sing in Spanish? I don't get that.
Okay,
maybe they say it as like the chorus. Maybe.
Was on Peso Pluma's album and had its
I'm just like, what's the point of that? It's like misleading as hell, bro.
The best song on that album. That was enough to create an expectation for me alongside Oscar Ortiz, who I'll admit has not crossed my radar before now. And the vibe of this is pretty straightforward. Ortiz has the smoother voice, Nunez is louder with more texture in his delivery, honestly fits against the accordion, and admittedly pretty decently produced regional Mexican sound with a more textured percussion and especially the defined bass. It's not the slap bass of VVS, but we can't always get what we want. Now, the content's not much to write home about. Basically, they're commiserating about getting dumped, and while they're certainly a bit more sensitive than most of the men I've encountered using this sound in recent years, they also trade off lines on the hook that might confuse you into thinking that they're singing about each other. Of course, they're obviously not.
They are. No. What are you talking about, man?
They
are.
Don't do anything
Come on, buddy.
interesting with.
What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that. It's 2024, buddy.
Yet it's
chill
far
out.
from the worst thing I've heard in this subgenre. I'm just not sure I'm all that impressed.
We should get an actual song that's like that.
Skin and Bones by David Kushner.
My titties. David Kushner?
Let's move on. Number 70, Skin and Bones by David Kushner.
This guy thought he was Teddy Swims. What the hell? What? Alright, it's just Daylight again. Like what?
We do have Hosier back near the public zeitgeist. We don't.
Man, who cares about them? We got the GOAT, David Kushner.
To make him a thing. But when I heard that he was at least trying to make a song about the temptations of lust, look, it's closer to the right ballpark in comparison with how Daylight was such a ripoff that also lost all that flavor. Now, that was all thoughts that I had before hearing the actual song, and oh my god, it might be worse than Daylight. That lifeless snap, how every elegant texture seems to degrade fidelity around a mix that just wallows in the murk, and that vocal mix. None of the emphasis is sold well. Kushner's utter vacuum of charisma only feels more obvious when Rob Kerr
have I not heard this?
Clue where to place him. But then we get to the lyrics. Okay, look, there are ways to play the Evil Woman song, the succubus you condemn to hell, but you can't resist her either. And yet Kushner perhaps delivers the worst possible version of it. The hectoring moral scold, who then appears to write about sex like he needs it explained to him with PowerPoint. I fantasize to feel you like a bullet in all your layers to the fullest. The condition of your soul is eroding. That entire second verse that is trying so hard to evoke gothic Catholic melodrama, but never fully goes over the edge when you have it end with "my salvation won't be sacrificed." If there's no risk of hellfire, there's no drama.
This guy said "my salvation." Oh, nah, bro, that is
got this right
actually hilarious.
Notre Dame. I was going to call David Kushner Hosier
GOAT?
Virgins at Christian Youth Camp. Honestly, they deserve better than this. This blows.
Damn. Oh. Got an ad, guys. I just gave Spectrum Post a cent. Actually, no, I didn't. This is probably a partially blocked video, which means you will make no money from it. That's why you gotta go to that Patreon.
Number 58, No Caller ID by Megan Maroney.
Kind of sounds like Taylor Swift. Is that just me? Or at least like country Taylor
Swift.
Swift.
My listening last year was Megan Maroney's breakthrough album Lucky, which for a mainstream country release was received rather quite well, especially as it was produced by one of the guys behind Sugarland, which definitely shows forth in some of the
need a gym partner.
In the
we need to get rid of this fat.
I checked it out and
burn calories.
It's really good, with an eye for clever detail and emotional nuance that made me wish I had given it a proper spin last year. I don't know, Tennessee Orange never impressed me that much, but this is her first single for her next album. And yeah, you know what? This is good for the most part too. It's hard for me to complain about Plentiful Pedal Steel and a pretty well-written song about being on the recovery of a bad relationship, only for a number with no caller ID to hit her up incredibly late at night, and what do you know? It can only be
her ex.
And credit to Maroney for selling the song as haggard and exhausted as she would probably feel at the time. Although I gotta wonder if the melody was shifted more into minor chords, it would not be hard to view these late calls as like harassment or stalking, especially as it's clear these drunk dials have been happening more than once.
I am proud of all the punches that I've thrown in the name of someone I no longer know. For the shame of being young, drunk, and alone. Traveler.
I don't know. We'll have to see. And finally,
I gotta chill out.
15, Beautiful
What is this?
By Benson Boone.
What is this? What? 15? What is... Who is Benson Boone?
You know, when Benson Boone left American Idol to do TikTok
Benson Boone?
and saw some middling success with mediocre
Benson Bone or
songs,
Boone?
I was hoping that
either way, that's a horrible last name.
Not giving him his biggest debut to date. So for some context, after his brief success in 2022, he got scooped up by Warner.
Let me look up this guy. Hold on. Benson Bone. Benson Boone. Who's this guy? Let's see. Okay, In the Stars.
Sunday mornings were your fave. Sunday mornings I just for a million.
This has 500 million streams. What is this? Ghost Town. I don't know about all that. Beautiful Things. Alright, well, it's like a Lewis Capaldi type scream. What was that? I thought it was Louis Capaldi for a second. What was that?
Somehow did worse, but now we got
What
this
the hell?
song that's been slow walked properly across social media until release, which got him a very big streaming debut. And okay, you know, I was gonna start by saying the melody on the first verse felt oddly familiar against the pianos, kind of reminded me a bit of Colder Weather by the Zac Brown Band, or how the lyrics were hitting the boyfriend country notes of being distressingly clingy toward the girl he's fallen for as he's slowly gotten his life back together, with a sort of raging, self-sabotaging insecurity that should be very worrisome. Then the guitar started ramping up, and while I've always said that Benson Boone is often the worst part of his own songs because of his singing, nowhere is that more obvious than here, where the comparison is less Harry Styles by way
Louis
of
Capaldi.
Louis Capaldi and more...
What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? Bro, what did I say? Wait, I'm actually... Bro, what did I say? Oh, bro. I am literally the predicting philosopher, bro. Oh my goodness, what did I say? Bro, I am actually the goat at this stuff.
Less Harry Styles
Oh,
by way of Louis
what
Capaldi
did I
and
say?
more...
I listened to this dude. I literally clicked through the song. I heard a little bit of it. I said Louis Capaldi.
Oh, this is Lucas Graham at his absolute
Wait,
worst.
whoa.
Oh, where the comparison is less Harry Styles by way of Louis Capaldi and more... Oh, this is...
It's not even Louis Capaldi.
Graham
Oh
at
my...
his absolute worst.
All right. See, look. I didn't know it was that bad. I thought it was Louis Capaldi. We're doing Lucas Graham here, huh? Lucas Graham? He's Lucas Graham. It's Lucas Graham.
Because the vocal mix is terrible.
Jesus.
The harmonies that sound audibly punched in, and they
I was
don't
at
blend at
15.
all. I mean, say what you want about Bruno Mars's early 2010s pop histrionics, he could at least sing way better than this. So yeah, this really sucks.
Damn.
Skip it. And yeah, it makes for a pretty rough week where I honestly cannot pick the worst. So we're getting a tie with Beautiful Things by Benson Boone and Skin and Bones by David Kushner. Deal with it. Both these songs are terrible. We don't need them around. Best is easily going to No Caller ID by Megan Maroney. Kind of by default.
Megan Maroney.
Great. But next week, though, I mean, between new Justin Timberlake and the beef between Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj, it's probably going to get messy. Stay tuned for that. But until then,
we're watching that day one.
You're watching Billboard
Probably
Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Calls.
All right, guys. Look. No, don't say anything. Subscribe to Billboard Breakdown. Subscribe to Spectrum Pulse. Go to the Patreon. Follow him on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Okay, he doesn't plug his TikTok, but he has a TikTok. I've seen it. You need to upload on there, Mr. Grondin. Okay, Mr. Grondin.
And I'll see you next time.
Can we get a little update, like pyrotechnics update for 2024 Billboard Breakdown? I'm tired of seeing. We need a new intro. That's what. Mark, you need to commission someone, get you a new intro that's like way crazy. Let's go back. Let's see. Like it's just been this Billboard coming in with the stock like audio things in the background, a little electric. You need a little animation. You know what I need? I want to see Mark Grondin jumping into the screen. A little animation of Mark Grondin jumping into the screen. Look. He's dressed as Mario, and then he jumps, he hits the block, and then Billboard comes out of the block, comes into the sky, and then all the sparks go everywhere. Boom. See? That's a new intro for you, Mark. I just gave you a new intro. You're welcome. Goodbye.